What up, bitches? It's the Misanthropic One, aka He Who Hungers, and I'm back up in this bitch for another rant/review. Today, I'd like to talk about this album right here, The Roots' latest album called And Then You Shoot Your Cousin. Okay, if you want to know the history on The Roots, go check my previous video or videos on them. I know I definitely did a video on their last album, Undone. Did I do one? I forget if I did one or not, but I know I did put it on my greatest albums of that year list, so go look for that, or look them up on Wikipedia or something. But these guys definitely are one of my favorite unique rap acts. I think that goes without saying. If you're a fan of my channel, you should know that I already like these dudes. I should like these dudes. And let's just get right into this, because I don't want to sit here and ramble all fucking day. Y'all know how I do things by now. Let me go right into the production on this album. Okay, so you have Mike Jers, Trapzilla's Richard Nichols, as well as Black Thought, who is the main MC, and Questlove, who's the drummer. You have Damian Ward, Carl Jenkins, The Works. See who else is on this bitch without repeating myself. Ray Angry. Yeah, that's it as far as production is concerned. Those that are familiar with The Roots know that they are a live band, and usually it's just live instrumentals, not so much of DJing and straight up beats that are sampled, although that came up in The Roots' more recent shit. But this one, they got studio production on there, and the sound on this shit is just fucking amazing. They stepped it up compared to their other albums and created something totally fucking different. But I'll get into that later on in the video. Let's go into the features on this bitch. You have Patty Crash. You have Modesty, Lycan, Greg Porn, Dice Raw, Mercedes Martinez, and Raheem Devon. Now, Greg Porn, Dice Raw, and Raheem Devon appear on multiple tracks on this album. There are about, 11 tracks, and some of which are interludes, by the way. And that means that there are a lot of fucking features on this bitch, and y'all know I'm not too crazy about that shit. So let me jump right into the pros and cons of this shit. The pros of this album, like I mentioned before, with the sound of this album, this does not sound like any other Roots album, and that's positive, because the Roots, just being a hip-hop band, that alone just sets them apart, because you don't really hear that in rap. They have their own fucking lane. They've been doing it since, I want to say, late 80s, early 90s. They've been doing this, and it's very hard to emulate these guys. So much respect for stepping it up sonically. I mean, this album, like I said, it doesn't sound like any other Roots album. It sounds like I don't even know how to describe it. It's like a orchestral jam band type shit. It's very weird. It's almost like a step away from the jazz shit that they're usually used to doing, the soulful jazz shit, and they just incorporate like almost like orchestra and just a myriad of different sounds. I don't even know what else to fucking say. It just doesn't sound like any other Roots album out there. Another pro I like about this is this was originally put out there as a concept album, and for the most part the album does follow the concept. Not so much like Undone. The concept was track by track, like each track was how do you say it, melded with one another. It told one huge story, sort of like Good Kid, Mad City. But this one is more or less, track by track, but each one is just telling different stories. And from what I understand, and I read about this earlier before the album dropped, that it was supposed to be a satire on what the hip hop lifestyle is supposed to be, with the violence, and it's sort of like a play on that. And you could hear this in the single When the People Cheer. You could hear Black Thought rap about this, like he's talking about how he's glorifying one of these strippers, and he's talking about, I gotta thank her for allowing me to have a place where I could be unfaithful, and they talk about, selling drugs and the trials and tribulations of doing that, and the hood life and shit like that. So they do manage to capture that in the songs and shit. Cons of the album. I mentioned the fucking features. Too many fucking features on this shit, number one. Even though that, they're repeated and shit. And even though Dice Raw, some people consider him a official Roots crew member, because, he's been with the Roots for all this time, featured on their shit and whatnot. But it's just too many fucking features on this bitch. Not enough Black Thought. Not enough. It seems like he had like approximately, I want to say 5-6 verses on here, rap verses, and I can't picture a Roots album without Black Thought. And anybody who's a Roots fan puts Black Thought in their top 10. This guy, I've seen people's lists, and I've seen Black Thought in their top 10. So when they run out and buy a Roots album, they're gonna be expecting fucking Black Thought ripping apart microphones on this shit. And granted, even though his verses were hot, there was a lack of Black Thought. I mean, he is one of the founding fathers of the Roots. He's been there since the beginning, so he should be all over this shit. And that is really my biggest fucking gripe with this album, is the lack of Black Thought. To me, he is one of the top tier. He might even be in my top 10, because my top 10, the last 5, constantly switch. And I've had Black Thought in there multiple times. Another thing that's kind of a con about this album is the album was kind of short. I think it was, approximately half an hour long. A lot of these Roots albums, they you get a full chunk of the Roots. Not that they overdo it, but they give you just enough. And to go back onto the feature shit, I know the Game Theory had a lot of features on there, but I think that all together with all the other elements I was talking about, it was a great, the Game Theory was a solid album all around. This shit right here, I don't know what to tell you. I'm not too crazy about it. I am, but I'm not. So my rating of this shit, I'll probably give it like a 5.5 out of 10. I think if they put Black Thought on here more and more, I would like it. I would give it even maybe a 7.5. And take away some of the features. That's it, you know. Give me more Black Thought. Give me a few more songs. And that's it. I'll give it a 5.5 out of 10. I really like the sound on it though. That I gotta praise. I can't say nothing about the sound. But that's it. Shout out to The Roots. Shout out to okplayer.com. Everybody else, y'all know the deal. Leave your love, leave your hate. Most of all, subscribe, support dope shit, and that's it. Peace, bitches.